The sky above New Haven had a strange purple tint as the sun began to set. Frank Collins stood on the observation deck of the colony's main building, watching the farmers return from the fields. 23 years had passed since they last heard from Earth. 23 years of silence. "Governor, you need to see this," Lisa Young said as she entered the room. Her face was tight with worry. As defense coordinator, she rarely brought good news these days. Frank sighed and followed her to the command center. The room buzzed with nervous energy as staff members moved between stations. Their equipment was old. Parts had been replaced with local materials when things broke down. Nothing was state-of-the-art anymore. "We picked up a Vraxian scout ship at the edge of our system," Lisa said, pointing to a blurry image on the main screen. "Third one this month." Frank rubbed his tired eyes. "They're getting bolder." "I think they're preparing for something," Lisa replied. "My security team spotted another landing site yesterday. They're mapping our defenses." In the corner of the room, Paul Bennett sat hunched over his communications console. Every day for the past 5 years, he had sent the same message into space. "This is New Haven Colony requesting assistance. Our coordinates are." No one paid attention to him anymore. Most believed Earth had either forgotten them or been destroyed long ago. The colony was on its own. "How many fighters do we have left?" Frank asked. "3 that can fly," Lisa answered. "Maybe 5 if we cannibalize parts from the others. We have 26 trained security officers and about 100 civilians with basic combat training." Frank nodded slowly. "And the Vraxians?" "Based on their last show of force, they have at least 2 cruisers and multiple landing craft. Probably over 1,000 troops." The room fell silent. Everyone knew what those numbers meant. "Governor," a young technician called out suddenly, "we're receiving a transmission. It's coming from the Vraxian command ship." The main screen flickered, revealing a tall, gray-skinned alien. Its 4 eyes blinked in an unsettling pattern as it spoke in heavily accented English. "People of New Haven, I am Commander Drek of the Vraxian Empire. Your colony sits on territory claimed by our people. We have been patient, observing your settlement for many of your years. That patience has ended." Frank stepped forward. "This planet was uninhabited when we arrived. We've made no hostile moves against your people." The alien made a clicking sound that might have been laughter. "Your claim is irrelevant. The Vraxian Empire expands as it must. You have 2 choices: surrender your colony and serve as labor for our mining operations, or be eliminated." "And if we refuse both options?" Lisa asked, her hand instinctively moving to the weapon at her hip. "Then you will die," the alien replied simply. "You have 7 days to decide. When we return, we expect your answer." The screen went dark. "Can we evacuate?" someone asked. Frank shook his head. "Our ships don't have the range to reach another colony, and we don't know if any others have survived." Lisa stepped closer to him and lowered her voice. "We can fight. Make them pay for every inch." "And then what?" Frank asked. "We'd just delay the inevitable." Across the room, Paul Bennett straightened in his chair. Without a word to the others, he adjusted his transmitter and began a new message. "Emergency broadcast on all frequencies. This is New Haven Colony. We are facing imminent attack from the Vraxian Empire. 7 days until forced surrender or destruction. Our coordinates are." He repeated the message 3 times, then programmed it to transmit continuously. "What's the point?" a technician next to him asked. "No one's listening." Paul continued working as he replied, "Someone might be. And right now, might be is all we have." Night fell over the colony. Families huddled together in their homes, sharing meals that might be among their last in freedom. In the command center, Frank Collins studied their meager defenses, while Lisa Young began planning for resistance. And above it all, Paul's message beamed outward into the darkness of space, racing away at the speed of light, carrying the colony's final hope. Kate Miller rubbed her tired eyes as she stared at the screens in front of her. The night shift at Earth's Naval Intelligence Center was always quiet. Most officers avoided it, but Kate preferred the silence. It let her focus on the tiny anomalies in the data streams that others missed. She sipped her coffee and continued sorting through deep space transmissions. Most were routine. Automated beacons, cargo ship updates, or the constant background chatter of established colonies. Her job was to find the unusual signals, the ones that didn't belong. Her screen flashed as the computer flagged something. Kate leaned forward, suddenly alert. The signal was weak, fragmented by distance and stellar interference. She enhanced it, cleaning away the noise. This is Haven Colony. Imminent attack. Vraxian Empire. 7 days until. The rest dissolved into static. Kate's heart raced. New Haven was a colony from the early diaspora, one of many that had fallen silent over the years. Most assumed these lost colonies had failed due to harsh conditions or local conflicts. No one had mentioned aliens called Vraxians before. She checked the signal's age. Her eyes widened. 7 years old, she whispered. The message had traveled at light speed across vast distances. Whatever had happened at New Haven, it had already happened years ago. Kate copied the data and rushed to her supervisor's office. 2 hours later, she stood before Admiral William Hayes in the high-security briefing room of Earth Fleet Command. The Admiral was a tall man with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. 5 other senior officers sat around the table, their faces serious as they listened to the recovered transmission. "And you're certain this is authentic?" Admiral Hayes asked when the recording ended. "Yes, sir," Kate replied. "The encryption matches our early colony protocols. This came from New Haven." "A colony we thought was lost," one of the officers said. "If this message is 7 years old, we're too late to help them," another added. Admiral Hayes stood up and walked to the large star map on the wall. He pointed to a spot in the Orion Arm. "New Haven is here, near the edge of what we've been calling contested space. We've had 3 encounters with unknown vessels in that region over the past year." "The Vraxians?" Kate asked. "Possibly," Hayes nodded. "If they've taken New Haven, they may be expanding toward other human settlements." The Admiral turned to face the group. "This is no longer about one colony. This is about establishing that humanity protects its own. If we abandon New Haven, we signal to every alien power that human territories are easy targets. What do you propose, Admiral?" asked Fleet Commander Rogers. "Operation Distant Thunder," Hayes said firmly. "We send a battle group, not just any ships, the Dreadnoughts." The room fell silent. Earth's 3 Dreadnoughts, Intrepid, Dauntless, and Sovereign, were the most powerful warships ever built. Each was a kilometer long, with weapons systems developed from technologies gathered during humanity's expansion into space. They had never been deployed together. "The fold drive tests on Intrepid were successful last month," Hayes continued. "We can reach New Haven faster than conventional travel. Even with the fold drive, it would take weeks to get there," Commander Rogers objected. "Better late than never," Hayes replied. "If the Vraxians have taken New Haven, we take it back. If by some miracle the colony still stands, we ensure it remains standing." Kate listened as the officers debated logistics and risks. She thought about the message, a desperate plea sent into the darkness, with no guarantee anyone would hear it. Admiral Hayes noticed her expression. "Something to add, Officer Miller?" "Sir, if New Haven sent that message, they might have sent others. There could be more information out there, more recent updates." Hayes nodded. "Good thinking. You're now assigned to this operation. Find everything you can about New Haven and these Vraxians." The meeting ended with a decision. Earth would answer the call that had taken 7 years to arrive. Whether they would find survivors or just avenge the dead, humanity would show the galaxy that distance was no protection for those who threatened an Earth colony. The massive hull of the Dreadnought Intrepid gleamed under the bright lights of Earth's orbital shipyard. Captain John Russell stood at the viewport of the command deck, watching as supply ships moved back and forth like busy insects. In his 20 years of service, he had never seen such urgent activity. "Captain, the last of the crew has arrived," said Lieutenant Commander Amanda Peterson as she entered the bridge. Her uniform was crisp, her posture perfect, but Russell could see the excitement in her eyes. As tactical officer, she would be responsible for the ship's weapon systems during their mission. "Thank you, Commander," Russell replied. "And the engineers? Working on the fold drive now. Chief Engineer Gomes says they'll be done in 6 hours." Russell nodded. The fold drive was experimental technology, designed to bend space in ways that allowed ships to travel vast distances quickly. The Intrepid had only completed 2 test jumps within the solar system. Now they were planning to take 3 dreadnoughts across hundreds of light years. "The Dauntless and Sovereign report ready for departure at 600, Amanda added. "Good. Have all department heads meet in the briefing room at 500. They should be told what we're facing." As Amanda left to relay his orders, Russell turned back to the viewport. Beyond the shipyard, he could see Earth, blue and peaceful. Most of its citizens had no idea what might be coming. The Vraxians were just one of several alien powers that Earth forces had encountered in recent years. Some were friendly, others neutral, but a few seemed intent on testing humanity's resolve. 5 hours later, Russell stood before his assembled officers in the briefing room. Screens displayed the same information on the other 2 dreadnoughts, where similar meetings were taking place. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "what I'm about to tell you is classified level 5. As of this moment, we are at war." He activated the main display, showing the recorded message from New Haven and the limited information they had on the Vraxians. "Our mission is to reach New Haven Colony, assess the situation, and respond with appropriate force. If the colony has fallen, we take it back. If it still stands, we ensure it remains standing." "Sir," one of the officers spoke up, "the intelligence on these Vraxians is 7 years old. What if they're much more advanced than we expect?" Russell nodded. It was a fair question. "That's why we're not going alone. 3 dreadnoughts, each with full fighter squadrons and ground forces. Earth is sending a message with this fleet. We're showing the galaxy that distance doesn't matter. We protect our own." The briefing continued with tactical plans and contingencies. When it ended, the officers returned to their stations with a new sense of purpose. On the bridge, Russell found Admiral Hayes waiting for him. "The Defense Council has given final approval," Hayes said. "You have full authority to act as necessary once you reach New Haven." "And if the colony is already lost?" Russell asked quietly. Hayes' expression hardened. "Then you make sure the Vraxians regret taking it." At 600, the 3 dreadnoughts moved away from Earth's orbit in perfect formation. Their massive engines glowed blue against the blackness of space. Inside the Intrepid's engine room, engineers monitored the fold drive as it charged. On the bridge, Russell gave the order. "All ships, prepare for fold jump." Amanda's voice was steady as she counted down. "Fold drive at maximum charge. Jump in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Space itself seemed to bend around the 3 warships. Stars stretched into lines of light, and then vanished as the ships entered folded space. The journey to New Haven had begun. In normal space, it would have taken decades. With the fold drive, they hoped to arrive in just 3 weeks, still years too late for the original distress call, but perhaps not too late to show the galaxy that humanity's reach was far longer than anyone had guessed. The Colonial Council room was filled with tense faces. 5 days had passed since the Vraxian ultimatum. Only 2 days remained before they would return for an answer. "We should surrender," said Helen Ward, the agriculture director. "At least that way our people might survive." "As slaves," Lisa Young replied sharply. The defense coordinator had slept little in the past 5 days, dividing her time between organizing defenses and training civilians. Governor Frank Collins looked around the table at the 6 council members. Each represented a vital part of colony life. Each had valid concerns. "We need to decide now. If we fight, We need to prepare. If we surrender, we need to prepare for that too. What about evacuation? Asked Bill Green, the colony's chief doctor. We have 3 working ships. That could hold maybe 300 people, Lisa said. And we have no guarantee they'd find anywhere safe. The Vraxians would likely shoot them down anyway. The debate continued as the sun set over New Haven. In the end, they took a vote. 4 voted to surrender. 2, Lisa and the colony's education director, voted to fight. Frank stood up. The council has decided. We will offer conditional surrender, asking for guarantees of safety for our people. Lisa's face tightened, but she remained silent. As the meeting ended, she walked out without looking at the others. Outside the council building, citizens gathered in small groups. They could sense the decision even before it was announced. Many had already begun packing essential belongings, unsure of what would be allowed in their new lives under Vraxian rule. At the communications center, Paul Bennett continued his broadcasts. Despite the council's decision, he refused to stop sending messages. "You're wasting your time," a technician told him. "No one's coming." Paul ignored him. For 7 years, he had maintained the colony's communications equipment with limited parts and resources. He had memorized every frequency used by Earth ships. He would keep broadcasting until the Vraxians physically stopped him. The next day, Lisa gathered her security team in an underground storage facility. 26 trained officers and 87 civilian volunteers waited for her instructions. "The council has voted to surrender," she told them. "But I'm not asking you to accept that decision blindly. Each of you must choose for yourself." "What are you suggesting?" asked Steve Jackson, her deputy. Lisa pointed to crates stacked against the wall. "Weapons and supplies. Enough for a small resistance force. We can hide in the eastern mountains. The Vraxians won't control this planet without a fight." The room fell silent as her words sank in. What she proposed was dangerous. Those who joined her might never see their families again. "I'm not ordering anyone to follow me," Lisa continued. "Those who wish to surrender with the colony can do so without shame. Those who wish to fight can meet me here tomorrow night." As her team dispersed, Lisa felt a presence behind her. She turned to find Paul Bennett watching from the doorway. "I heard what you said," he told her. "I want to help." Lisa studied him. "You're not a fighter, Paul." "No," he agreed, "but I am a communications expert. I can help you stay connected, maybe even tap into Vraxian transmissions." Before Lisa could respond, alarms began to sound throughout the colony. They both rushed outside. In the command center, Frank stared at the main screen in shock. "They're early," he whispered. The sensors showed multiple ships entering the system. The Vraxians had not waited for the full 7 days. Their massive cruisers were already moving into orbit around New Haven. Frank turned to his staff. "Send a message. Tell them we wish to discuss terms." No response came from the Vraxian ships. Instead, dozens of smaller vessels detached from the cruisers and began descending toward the planet's surface. "They're landing troops," Lisa said as she entered the room. They never intended to negotiate. As the colony watched helplessly, the first Vraxian assault shuttles broke through the atmosphere. New Haven's brief. The sky above New Haven filled with Vraxian shuttles. Their engines made a high-pitched whine as they descended toward the main settlement. Colony residents ran for shelter, while Lisa's security team took defensive positions around key buildings. "We need more time," Frank said, watching the screens in the command center. "Try to contact them again." A technician shook his head. "No response on any channel, Governor." Outside, the first shuttles landed in the colony's central plaza. Armored Vraxian soldiers poured out, their weapons raised. They moved with practiced efficiency, securing the area in seconds. Lisa grabbed her rifle. "I'm heading to the front line. We need to slow them down until civilians can reach the emergency bunkers." Frank nodded grimly. "Do what you can, but don't throw lives away needlessly. This isn't the fight we wanted." In the communications center, Paul worked frantically at his console. The Vraxians were jamming local transmissions, but his deep space antenna still functioned. He sent one final message before joining the others. The first shots were fired near the colony's main entrance. The Vraxian advance team met unexpected resistance from Lisa's defenders. Surprised by the humans' firepower, the aliens pulled back to regroup. Commander Drek watched from his ship in orbit. These humans were fighting harder than expected. No matter. Victory was inevitable. He ordered more shuttles to land on the colony's eastern edge, planning to encircle the defenders. Then his sensor officer called out in alarm. "Commander, massive energy readings at the system's edge." Drek moved to the sensor station. "What kind of readings?" "Unknown, sir. Nothing like this in our records. 3 separate signatures, very powerful." In the colony below, the fighting paused as a strange vibration passed through the air. Both humans and Vraxians looked up. High above, space itself seemed to tear open. 3 massive ruptures appeared against the backdrop of stars, glowing with blue-white energy. The Vraxian ships in orbit changed position, moving toward this new threat. From each rupture emerged a massive vessel, dwarfing the Vraxian cruisers. Their dark hulls absorbed the light of New Haven's sun, creating the illusion that pieces of night sky had come alive. Weapon systems along their sides glowed with ready power. In the colony's command center, Paul's communications console suddenly lit up with an incoming signal. His hand shook as he accepted it. A human voice, clear and strong, filled the room. "New Haven, this is Captain John Russell of the UES Intrepid. Earth has not forgotten you. Hold fast." Frank stared at the speaker in disbelief. "Earth?" he whispered. "After all this time?" Outside, colonists emerged from buildings to look up at the sky. Through the atmosphere, they could see the silhouettes of Earth's warships positioning themselves between the settlement and the Vraxian fleet. On the Intrepid's bridge, Captain Russell stood before the main view screen. The Vraxian fleet was visible. 8 cruisers and numerous smaller vessels. Significant, but no match for 3 dreadnoughts. "All weapons systems online," reported Amanda Peterson from the tactical station. "Fighters ready to launch." "Open a channel to the Vraxian command ship," Russell ordered. In orbit around New Haven, Commander Drek received the transmission with shock. These ships were human. Impossible. Humans were a minor power with limited space capability. Yet the vessels before him were larger and more advanced than anything in the Vraxian fleet. "Vraxian vessels, this is Captain John Russell of Earth Fleet. You are engaged in hostile actions against a human colony. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." Drek's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. His orders had been clear. Secure this colony as a forward base for Vraxian expansion. His superiors had assured him that Earth was too distant to interfere. They were wrong. On the planet's surface, Lisa Young watched with the other defenders as Vraxian shuttles suddenly changed direction, racing back toward their ships in orbit. The aliens on the ground looked up in confusion, then began a hasty retreat. Lisa lowered her weapon and turned to Paul, who had joined her at the defensive line. "What's happening?" Paul smiled for the first time in days. "Earth happened, and it seems they brought their biggest guns." Commander Drek paced the bridge of his flagship. The human warships remained in position, blocking his fleet's path to the colony. His sensor officers worked frantically to analyze the vessels. "Their weapon systems are unlike anything we've encountered," one officer reported. "Energy readings suggest they could disable our ships with a single volley." Drek hissed in frustration. The Empire had assured him that humans were technologically inferior. This evidence suggested otherwise. "Commander," his communications officer called. "The human captain is requesting to speak with you again." "Put him on screen," Drek ordered. Captain Russell's face appeared on the main display. His expression was calm but determined. "Commander Drek, I'll make this simple. The colony of New Haven is under Earth's protection. You have 1 hour to withdraw your forces from this system. After that, we will remove you ourselves." Drek's upper eyes narrowed. "Your ships are impressive, Captain, but you are outnumbered. The Vraxian Empire does not surrender territory once claimed. This was never your territory, Russell replied evenly. And as for being outnumbered, quality matters more than quantity. 1 hour, Commander. Use it wisely. The screen went dark. Drek turned to his tactical officer. Prepare all ships for combat. We will show these humans the true might of the Vraxian Empire. On the Intrepid, Russell returned to his command chair. Status of the Vraxian fleet. They're moving into attack formation, Amanda reported. Weapons charging on all vessels. Russell nodded. He had expected this. Launch fighter squadrons. Have the Dauntless and Sovereign move to flanking positions. Target their weapon systems only. I want to minimize casualties. They're not giving us the same courtesy, Amanda pointed out. We're not here to match their behavior, Russell replied. We're here to demonstrate Earth's way of doing things. Throughout the colony below, people gathered at windows and on rooftops to watch the confrontation unfolding in orbit. After years of isolation, the sudden appearance of Earth's warships seemed like a miracle. In the command center, Frank and Lisa monitored communications from the Earth fleet. They're really going to fight for us, Lisa said quietly. After all this time. Frank nodded. Let's hope their ships are as powerful as they look. In space, the Vraxian cruisers fired first. Energy beams lanced toward the Earth dreadnoughts, only to be absorbed by shimmering shield technology. The human vessels held position, seemingly unaffected by the assault. Shields holding at 92%, reported an officer on the Intrepid's bridge. No damage to any systems. Russell leaned forward. Lieutenant Commander Peterson, you may return fire. Disable their flagship first. Amanda's fingers danced across her tactical console, targeting their main weapon arrays and propulsion systems. Firing now. From the Intrepid's forward section, a pulse of blue energy emerged. It struck the Vraxian flagship with surgical precision. The alien vessel's lights flickered, and it began to drift. Direct hit, Amanda confirmed. Their weapons and engines are offline. Similar precise strikes disabled 2 more Vraxian cruisers within minutes. No ships were destroyed, but they floated helplessly, unable to fight or flee. The remaining Vraxian vessels hesitated, then began to retreat toward the edge of the system. On his crippled flagship, Commander Drek watched in disbelief. The humans had defeated half his fleet without destroying a single ship. This level of precision and restraint spoke of technology far beyond what the Empire believed humans possessed. His communications officer approached cautiously. Sir, the human captain is hailing us again. Drek straightened his posture. Even in defeat, he would maintain his dignity. Captain Russell's face appeared once more on screen. Commander, your remaining ships are retreating. I suggest you join them. We will provide escort to ensure you leave this system safely. This is not over, Drek said. The Empire will return. Russell's expression remained neutral. Perhaps, but when that happens, you'll find Earth ready. We protect our own, Commander. Remember that. As the disabled Vraxian ships limped away under the watchful eyes of Earth fighters, shuttles launched from the dreadnoughts toward New Haven's surface. After 23 years of silence, Earth personnel were finally returning to the forgotten colony. The main square of New Haven was filled with people. They watched in silence as 3 shuttles from Earth landed in perfect formation. When the doors opened, soldiers in crisp uniforms emerged first, followed by officers and medical personnel. Captain John Russell stepped onto the soil of New Haven and looked around at the weathered buildings and tired faces. These people had survived against incredible odds. Governor Frank Collins stepped forward to greet him. Captain, on behalf of our colony, welcome to New Haven. Russell shook his hand firmly. Governor, Earth sends its apologies for the delay. A small laugh rippled through the crowd. 23 years was more than a delay, but no one was complaining now. An hour later, Russell sat with the colony's leaders in their council room. Amanda Peterson and other key officers from the Earth fleet joined them. How did you find us? Lisa Young asked. She still held her rifle, unwilling to believe they were truly safe. Officer Kate Miller discovered your distress signal, Russell explained. It took 7 years to reach Earth, traveling at light speed. And you came immediately? Frank asked. Amanda exchanged a glance with her captain before answering. Not exactly. The truth is, Earth has changed since you lost contact. We've been fighting the Shadow War against various alien powers for years. A war. Lissa leaned forward. Against the Vraxians. The Vraxians are just one species testing our boundaries, Russell said. There are others, some friendly, some neutral, and some hostile. Earth has kept these conflicts away from public knowledge and away from our colonies. But why? Frank asked. Why keep it secret? Russell activated a small device on the table. A hologram of the galaxy appeared, with colored regions marking different territories. Earth needed time, he explained. Time to build our defenses, develop new technologies, and establish our position without drawing too much attention. When colonies like New Haven went silent, many assumed they had failed due to natural causes. You mean we were abandoned on purpose? Someone asked angrily. No, Russell shook his head firmly. Your colony was believed destroyed. When Kate Miller found your signal, it changed everything. Admiral Hayes convinced the Defense Council that we needed to respond, not just to save New Haven, but to show the galaxy that humans protect their own. Amanda continued. The Vraxians have been testing human responses for years, taking small outposts, prodding defenses. Your colony became their first major target. But you were ready for them, Lissa observed. Yes, Russell nodded. The Dreadnoughts represent a new era for Earth. Ships capable of traveling vast distances quickly, armed with technology we've developed or acquired from our encounters with other species. Paul Bennett, who had remained quiet until now, spoke up. So my messages weren't pointless after all. Far from it, Russell smiled. Your persistence saved this colony. When we arrived in this system, we detected your continuous broadcasts. They helped us locate you quickly. Frank looked troubled. What happens now? Will the Vraxians return? Eventually, they might, Russell acknowledged. But not soon, and not without serious consideration. Today they learned something important about humanity. We're not the minor power they thought we were. And we're establishing a permanent defense station in orbit. Amanda added, New Haven won't be left vulnerable again. As the meeting continued, Russell shared more details about Earth's current situation. The colonies had multiplied. New technologies had been developed. Humanity had expanded its reach far beyond what the founders of New Haven could have imagined. Earth kept its strength hidden, Russell explained, appearing weaker than we actually were. It gave us time to prepare while potential enemies underestimated us. The Vraxians expected an easy victory here. Instead, they met Earth at its full strength, and they won't forget the lesson. Frank looked out the window at the dreadnoughts visible in the evening sky, their massive forms partially obscured by clouds. So those ships, he said quietly, they're just the beginning. Russell nodded. Just the beginning. 6 months passed quickly for the people of New Haven. The colony had transformed. New buildings stood alongside the old. Fresh crops grew in fields expanded with Earth technology. Children played in parks that had once been empty lots. Above the planet, a permanent defense station hung in orbit. Its weapon systems constantly scanned for threats, while Earth ships regularly patrolled the system. New Haven would never be vulnerable again. In the colony's main square, workers put final touches on a memorial. Stone columns listed the names of those lost during the years of isolation and the brief Vraxian attack. At the center stood a statue of a communications officer at his post, forever broadcasting hope into the darkness. Lisa Young walked through the busy morning crowd toward the new government building. After the Vraxian incident, Frank Collins had resigned as governor. New elections had been held. Lissa now represented New Haven on the newly formed Outer Colony Security Council. Good morning, Councilor Young, called a familiar voice. Lisa turned to see Paul Bennett approaching. His uniform was still new enough that he adjusted it self-consciously. The Earth Fleet patch on his shoulder gleamed in the morning light. "Lieutenant Bennett," she smiled. "Ready for your new assignment?" Paul nodded. "The Intrepid leaves tomorrow. Captain Russell says I'll be training communications officers on other distant colonies." "They couldn't find a better teacher," Lisa said. "Your stubbornness saved us all." They walked together toward the landing area where Earth shuttles regularly arrived bringing supplies and new colonists. Nearly 1,000 people had moved to New Haven in the past 6 months. Some were military personnel, others were civilians seeking opportunity on the frontier. "I never thought I'd see this place so alive," Paul said quietly. As they reached the landing area, they spotted a familiar figure, Captain Russell, speaking with a group of engineers. When he saw Lisa and Paul, he excused himself and joined them. "Counselor, Lieutenant," he greeted them. "Beautiful morning." "Last one for you," Lisa noted. "I heard the Dreadnoughts are leaving today." Russell nodded. "The Sovereign and Dauntless have already departed. The Intrepid leaves once the memorial ceremony is complete." The three of them looked up at the massive ship visible in the morning sky. After 6 months, the sight of a dreadnought still inspired awe among the colonists. "Admiral Hayes sends his regards," Russell continued. "He's pleased with New Haven's progress." "And the Phraxians?" Lisa asked. The question had been on everyone's mind. "No activity in this sector since they retreated. Our intelligence suggests they're reconsidering their expansion plans. Finding Earth more formidable than expected has changed their calculations." At noon, the colony gathered for the memorial dedication. Children from the school sang songs. Veterans of the brief battle stood at attention. Governor Allen Perry, formerly the colony's education director, gave a short speech honoring those who had kept hope alive during the long isolation. As the ceremony ended, Captain Russell stepped forward to speak. His voice carried across the square. "The story of New Haven will be told throughout Earth's space," he began. "It will remind all colonies that distance does not equal abandonment. It will show potential enemies that Earth's reach extends to the farthest stars. And it will demonstrate to our own people that humanity's greatest strength is not our weapons or ships, but our determination to protect each other." He looked around at the faces watching him. Colonists who had endured decades of hardship, Earth personnel who had traveled across the galaxy to help them, and children who would grow up knowing their home was secure. Today, the Intrepid returns to Earth, but New Haven is no longer alone. You are now a vital part of humanity's extended family across the stars. And the galaxy will learn what the Phraxians have already discovered. When you threaten one of us, you face all of us. As Russell finished speaking, the crowd erupted in cheers. High above, the Intrepid's engines began to glow, preparing for departure. But this time, no one in the colony felt fear as they watched a ship leave. They knew others would come. New Haven had rejoined the human family, and Earth had shown the galaxy that its children were never truly forgotten.